Hey folks, Pat here from DNS. This Madison area fishing report is current as of August 4th. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but just quickly here, the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers group. This is a conservation group that is, their mission is to preserve public access, public lands for hunting and fishing. They're a relatively new group, and they're doing some great work. They got a Wisconsin chapter, and they're having their 2023 state rendezvous this weekend up at the Rib Mountain Bowman Archery Club in Wausau. So it looks like a cool event, bunch of activities going on, raffles. They got some speakers in, and that is tomorrow. I think it's pretty much all day. Yeah. So anyway, give them a look. If you can't make it up to the trip, check them out on their website here, backcountryhunters.org. Yeah, they're doing good stuff out there. So. A couple other things I mentioned in a post earlier this week. Spring Harbor boat launch is closed through August, but I also found this page that the parks has just with boat launch news on it. So they got Spring Harbor listed here, but they also list that Olin is going to be closed August 11th and 12th for an event. Marshall will be closed on September 6th through the 10th for an event. So anyway, just kind of cool resources on the City of Madison Parks page you can check out. Also wanted to congratulate a friend of the shop, Austin Rogotsky. So the National Walleye Tournament? Anyway, Walleye Tour, National Walleye Tour is, they did all their qualifying events in Austin. There is a picture of him right there. Qualified, he got 10th place, which is super impressive. In a group of some pretty heavy hitters in the walleye world. So, and that means he'll be going on to compete in September for the final event at Devil's Lake. So just want to wish him luck there. And yeah, it's pretty cool having a local guy doing it out there, doing a good job. So congrats to Austin. A little bit of shop news. I posted a thing just last night. We have purple willy worms in. Purple is by far the most popular color. Red's a close second, but yeah, we got this new color of purple in. It matches the original willy worm better, so folks should be pretty happy about that. Also, just wanted to show people this. People ask me about running a bait shop and how glamorous or what a dream job it is, and don't get me wrong, it definitely has its perks, but also its challenges. Friday night we lost power here about 10 or 9:45, and of course we have aerators and pumps that feed the minnow tanks, and I had to come down here to the shop and try to get that figured out. I wound up running a bunch of baby bubbles tanks in my minnow tanks and spending the night on the floor on a bed of life preservers. So not the best night of sleep I've ever had, and but yeah, just wanted to point out that it's not all glamorous bait shop life here all the time. But anyway, we made it through, and minnows are still kicking. So all's well that ends well. I guess we'll get to the report here. We had some heavy rain come through on Friday that broke the heat wave from last week and also took power out here at the shop. We've had some warm weather, but comfortable temperatures this week with the highs in the low 80s most days. Warm today with a chance of a little rain this weekend, but more comfortable weather ahead with some highs at or below 80 degrees for the foreseeable future. So some great opportunities to get out there and enjoy some fishing. The buoy this morning off Lake Mendota over here read 79.7 degrees. So water temps are holding pretty much steady, a little warmer from where they were last week. Make sure to watch those lake temps if they're above 80 for muskie and 67 degrees on the stream for trout. Those fish can get stressed in temperatures warmer than that. Generally around the chain, it sounds like slimy weeds are still a problem in spots. Floating weeds are causing problems depending on wind and where you're at. But I do hear water clarity remains good around the chain, as is reflected here on the beach water quality, Dane County beach water quality page. Actually, all the beaches look like they're in good shape. So it's good news for a water quality standpoint. Of course, gills are still being found on weed lines and suspended over deep water, with redworms and spikes working well for those gills. Perch action remains spotty on Mendota. Largemouth bass remain shallow around the chain, and smallmouth bass and walleye are being picked up in good numbers on mid-lake humps and crawlers. With crawlers and fatheads have both been working well for those fish. Pike are plentiful, and it's been too warm to really fish for muskies safely this last week, so I haven't heard much there. On the area rivers, heavy rain we got Friday briefly brought water levels up to their seasonal averages, but they're dropping back down pretty quick. A little more detail up here on the north side. Cherokee Park, still very weedy up there, but still hearing about some decent topwater action up there for bass and pike. If you can launch a boat at the Cherokee Marsh launch here, you can get out in the channel and fish the weed lines out there where it's clear up and down from that launch. And yeah, some great bass and pike action to be had up there. 113 Bridge continues to have some good catfish action down there, and a nice mixed bag of fish. You never really know what you're going to get. I talked to a guy just this morning who said he got into a bunch of perch over there. So yeah, you really never know what you get at School Spot over there. Anyway, like I said, gills all around Mendota are out on the weed lines for the most part. Look for them in about 15 feet of water. Haven't heard anything on crappies really lately. I occasionally hear good reports of perch on weed lines, but it sounds like mostly small fish with the occasional keeper here and there. Panfish, all the panfish are liking a small ice fishing jig, fished with a spike or a redworm, with the occasional walleye or smallmouth also grabbing those too, because those fish are plentiful out there. Largemouth bass action remains good shallow. Topwater frogs are working great. Smallmouth bass and walleye are being found in 15 to 25 feet of water near shoreline breaks and mid-lake humps. Crawlers have been working great for those fish, both jigging and trolling, but I do hear some reports of trolling and casting crankbaits as well. Tenney Park continues to fish pretty well over here. Good action up at the breakwall, especially in the evening. With that rain, they're letting more water through the locks here, so that tends to push fish up out of Lake Monona, and they stack up in here pretty good. So I've heard about some nice walleye, some bass, good panfish action in there. The Tenney Park Lagoon also continues to produce some real nice largemouth. I also forgot to mention I've heard of some good action down here along the city shoreline for walleyes at night, and even a couple perch getting picked up there, even shallow casting from the docks down at the Union. Over here to the Yahara River where it dumps into on Lake Monona. Decent mixed bag of fish in there, some walleyes. Haven't heard much in the way of panfish shallow. Most of the panfish, and when I say panfish, I really just mean bluegills, are out suspended over deep water now. So that's going to be your best bet for finding those fish. Just drift literally anywhere out over anything deeper than 30 feet of water, and you're going to find panfish about 15 feet down, bluegills, and some nice ones coming out of there too. Sometimes it just depends on the school you run into. Sometimes they're small, sometimes you run into some real dandies. Down on Monona Bay, they've had the weed cutters in there, so fishing's been pretty pleasant. And I've been hearing about mixed bag, bass, bluegills, some pike, and actually just had a guy in yesterday was telling me he got into some perch down there, fishing on the bottom with some worms, some real nice perch. So if you're looking for perch, that's an option. Monona Terrace Wall over here continues to produce some nice, or well, actually I should say a lot of gills, a lot of small ones, but some sorting. But some good action over there. And then the crappie bite continues to be pretty decent in the evenings. Lake Wingara, a lot of small bluegills in there, and some decent largemouth, and of course, chance at some good muskie over there. Haven't heard much about muskie on Lake Monona. It's been pretty hot this last week, so I know a lot of folks aren't even out giving it a shot with the warm lake temps. Over here to Upper Mud, been hearing about some great bass action over there, some good topwater frog stuff in the weeds, and then a line casting along the channel where you can get through over here with a boat. Otherwise, it's very weedy over there. Lake Wabisa has been producing some good panfish, same as Monona, out more panfish suspended out deeper. That's not to say you're not going to find them around docks and along weed lines, but you'll find better numbers and probably some nicer fish out over the deeper water suspended. Haven't heard much in the way of muskies. But walleye down here between Babcock and Lake Farm, that stretches, traditionally a great spot, and I've heard about a few fish being picked up there. Sounds like they're done dredging at Babcock Park, but they do, I guess, still have a bunch of their equipment in there, so it's still causing a little bit of headaches over there. Kegonsa continues to fish pretty well. Same thing down there, though. You'll find some bluegills on the weed lines, but most of your nicer gills are going to be suspended out over the deeper water, 15 feet down. Walleye reports out of there have been spottier recently, but they are still picking up some fish on the state park side of things. Trolling crawlers seems to be pretty effective for those. Over to the Rock River, haven't heard a lot out of Lake Koshkonong specifically. Trolling crawler harnesses and crankbaits up here and on the kind of northeast end of the lake is usually a pretty safe bet this time of year. Otherwise, the Indian Ford and Jefferson dams continue to produce a nice mixed bag of fish, including some decent flatheads that I've been hearing about. So, and some white bass down there too. That's why dams on rivers are great. Just stack up all kinds of fish in there. Beaver Dam Lake, good eater-sized catfish. I've been talking about that all summer. Castle Rock Lake has been producing, has a great yellow bass bite. If you want to catch great numbers of yellow bass, get some of those fish out of there. Has been great for that. And then a decent crappie bite at night. Still hearing about some good fish up to Devil's Lake. Deeper, there sounds like they're running deeper still, 30 feet of water or so. Otherwise on the river, like I said, the storms we got brought the river levels up for a minute, and then they came back down, and they're pretty low again now, but smallmouth action remains great up and down the river. All you got to do is look for the deeper water, which is easy to find since it's shallow. Everything's real shallow right now, so sandbars, corners, stuff like that. If you can find some wood near some deep water, that's fantastic. But yeah, great smallmouth topwater frog bite. Subsurface has been great, both on fly and conventional fishing. Up to the dam, again, standard dam catches up there. Great mixed bag, some catfish showing up. Lake Wisconsin also sounds like a great mixed bag of fish up there. Crappies, I guess all manner of panfish, walleyes, tons of sheep's head being caught trolling. So a lot of action going on up there. Sounds like they're pretty shallow, 10 to 12 feet of water from what I've been hearing anyway. Otherwise, upriver from here, I guess I haven't heard much out of Portage, but Portage to Wisconsin Dell is a great stretch of smallmouth water in there. Castle Rock, I haven't heard much out of specifically, but Castle Rock and the Petenwell dams are great spots for a nice mixed bag of fish, some good catfish action up there. Otherwise, on Petenwell, I've been hearing about some good action up there. Even though the water's pretty green still, they are getting fish on on points and channel breaks, but some fish shallower than you might think for this time of year too. But I have been hearing reports as shallow as 10 feet, but also up to 30 up there. So some good action if you want to take a trip up to good old Petenwell. Over to the Mississippi River, it sounds like good bluegill and perch action on weed lines. Some walleye and smallmouth bass on wing dams, and crappie are being found on ledges and structure near wood in there. Over to Milwaukee, kind of the same deal with all the rivers, at least from the Milwaukee River standpoint. The rain jumped levels up a little bit, but they're coming back down pretty quick. Which also, again, concentrates fish in deeper holes. Some great action for smallmouth and pike, mostly in the evenings or mornings over there. Otherwise, out on the big lake, the charters are doing well for the usual kings and cohos and stuff like that. But, it's hard to believe it's August already, so you're going to start to get fish that are going to start moving into the harbors. So all up and down the East Coast over here, later in just a couple weeks here, you'll start to see kings starting to move in pretty shallow and be accessible to shore anglers as they get ready to do their fall run. I can't believe how fast summer's going by here. But and it's going to be the same way like that all the way up and down the coast. Where was I? Port Washington up here. I'm not sure why I can't find Port Washington right now. But anyway, oh yeah, right there, Port. Anyway, I heard about a decent coho bite up there or was it Kings? Anyway, a good bite up there early in the mornings out from the break wall there. Otherwise, yeah, up and down the coast, you're going to have those king salmon start to stack up. Otherwise, around the area for trout, it's pretty hot. So you got to watch those stream temps. Make sure they're not above 67 degrees. Otherwise, local streams saw a little bump in the water levels, but they're, for the most part, still running clear and a little low. Parsnip and nettles can make fishing challenging when you're walking along the banks, but sporadic catches of mayflies are coming off, mostly in the early morning or evenings. But we are full on into terrestrial season now, so patterns like ants, beetles, crickets, hoppers are all going to be your best bet for topwater action if there isn't a hatch coming off. Of course, woolly buggers and nymphs are effective anytime fish aren't looking up. And the spinning gear side of things, the usual panther martins, tube jigs, rapalas are all fantastic this time of year. Also, hard to beat the effectiveness of just a good old red worm under a bobber for trout. So I guess that pretty much does it for the report today. Um, want to let you know if you want to call the shop, 241-4225, if you want any expansion on anything I've talked about here. Otherwise, yeah, good luck out there. Looks like a great week ahead for fishing, and appreciate you tuning in, and we will talk next week. Thanks so much.